Hi there and welcome back. This is video number 2 of our second module of our course, The Essentials of Algebra 1. This is a practice opportunity where you will get an opportunity to work some problems and then we'll get back together and visit about how to actually solve the problems. Hopefully, after completing all of these practice problems, you will have the skill set needed to be successful on the assessment that's coming up in the next part of this module. So let's get right to it. Let's talk just a little bit and remind ourselves what were our learning targets for today. Well, first of all, we were going to use the properties of equality to solve various types of linear one-variable equations. Think back to what we did in video 1. Lots of different kinds of things happen to us. Okay, and we talked about we were going to solve multi-step equations that require the use of the distributive property in combining like terms. Those were all part of those problems that we worked prior, and they'll be part of what we do in this video. What else did we talk about? We talked about this particular recipe for solving these kinds of problems. I warned you that these would look scary when you just looked at them, all right? But I said, don't panic. I'm going to give you a recipe. And if you just keep your eyes focused on the recipe, either in writing on the screen here, in your notes, or wherever, that will give you the opportunity to address these problems and be successful on them. Don't be intimidated by how the problem looks to begin with. Take it piece by piece, follow this plan, and you'll be successful. So let's get right to it. Here's problem number 1. Hit the pause button and work through it. Welcome back. Let's see how this one is solved. This is a simple two-step equation. You don't need step 1, step 2, step 3. All you need to go is straight to step 4. Isolate the variable on the left side. So to do that, 2 quick steps, plus 2 on both sides, cancels right there. We've got a 5r remaining, a negative 47 and a positive 2. Gives you a negative 45. Hopefully you got that part correct. Then divide both sides by 5. And your final answer, your variable, is going to be r. And that's going to be equal to negative 9. Hopefully you got that correct. Let's go on to the next problem. 6x minus x equals 30. It's all yours. Go for it. Welcome back. This problem, we will need to use part of our recipe. We're going to need specifically step number 1 of the recipe, which says simplify the left-hand side. We have 6x minus 1x, and that's going to give us a total of 5x equal to 30, and that's a one-step equation. Divide both sides by 5, and you will get x equal to 6. Nothing to it. I'm sure you did very well on that one. All right, next problem. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room to work this one out when we get to that point of the video. So it's all yours. Take your steps, look at your recipe, and good luck. On this particular problem, we have to go through our recipe, simplify the left, nothing to do. Simplify the right-hand side, nothing to do. Is there a variable on the right? Yes, there is. So we have to remove that using addition or subtraction. There is a 3a sitting there. How do we get rid of the 3a? We subtract it. That will get rid of it on the right-hand side. But if I do it on the right-hand side, hope you didn't forget to do it on the left-hand side as well. 7a minus 3a is going to leave us with 4a. We'll have minus 4, and that's going to be equal to 12. Then we're going to look at the next step in our recipe, which says isolate the variable on the left. We're going to do that with 2 quick steps. We're going to need to add 4 to both sides. 4a on the left remains. 12 and a positive 4 is a positive 16. To get the a by itself, we're going to need to divide both sides by 4 because it's being multiplied by 4. So we'll divide by 4 here, divide by 4 there, and 4a divided by 4 will simply leave us with the variable all by itself. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And so there's your answer. Hopefully you got that one correct. Let's move on to the next one. Here is our next problem. I'm going to give myself just a little bit more room on this one because this one's going to take up just a little bit more space. But I'm going to follow the plan. Follow the recipe. This looks like an intimidating problem, but I'm going to take it one step at a time. Now you get after it and see how well you do. Welcome back. Let's see how we solve this problem. Using my recipe, I look at the first step, says simplify things on the left-hand side. I've just got 2b minus 5 over there. That is not going to be needed for this particular problem because 2b minus 5 is just 2b minus 5. At this particular piece, step 2 says to simplify everything on the right side. Now there we're going to have a little work to do because when I look at that, I've got a 4b and a 2b that need to be combined. So we're going to put those together, 4b plus 2b, that's going to be 6b, and then we'll have the plus 15. What's the next step in the recipe? Do we have a variable term on the right? Yes, we do. We've got to take care of that. I have a 6b sitting over there. How do I get rid of 6b's? I get rid of 6b's by subtracting. So we're going to go minus 6b here and do it on the right-hand side and on the left. Got to do it on both sides. Okay, so that's going to leave us with the 6b's gone on the right-hand side, and all we have left is the plus 15. Not sure why I wrote the plus 15, because we don't need that plus sign. It's just 15. Equal sign, working our way back. Positive 2b and a negative 6b is going to be negative 4b. Then you have your minus 5. Now it's at a point where we have no variables on the right-hand side anymore. So next step in our recipe, isolate the variable on the left-hand side. So we've got 2 steps to take. That's going to be plus 5 here and here. That'll leave us with negative 4b equal to 20. And then we're going to divide both sides by negative 4. Here and here. And that will leave us with the b value all by itself on the left. And to the right, we've got 20 divided by negative 4. That's going to be negative 5. Again, I haven't said it in a minute. You've got to be very good with your operations. Add, subtract, multiply, and divide with integers. Be very comfortable with those. Get practice if you are not skilled with those. Okay? And there's our final answer. B equal to negative 5. Let's move on to another problem. Look at this thing. It almost stretches halfway across the screen. But I'm not going to panic because I've got a recipe that will help me solve this problem. Follow the recipe as you do the problem. Hit pause and we'll see you in just a minute. Welcome back. Hopefully you were able to solve this out correctly. May have taken you a few minutes, but let's see how you did. I'm going to follow my recipe. Almost I need every step this time. On the left-hand side, we're going to take y minus 5y. Positive 1y minus negative 5y is going to be negative 4y. Positive 5 and positive 10, positive 15. Now let's take a look at the right-hand side. Step 2 says simplify the right-hand side. There's some work to do over there as well. I've got 5y and negative 4y to deal with. Positive 25 has no friends to play with, so let's put those pieces together that need to be combined. Positive 5 and negative 4. That's going to be 1y. Remember, you don't need to write that 1. right? It can just be a y. But let me tell you, if it's going to help you get the problem right and keep you from being confused, put the 1 there. And then we're going to have this plus 25 here. So we've completed steps 1 and 2 of our recipe. Step 3 says, do we have a variable term on the right? Do we have a variable term on the right? Yes, we do. How are we going to get rid of 1y? Well, hopefully you thought about, well, let's just subtract it out, Mr. H. Y minus y, that's going to cancel that out completely. But remember, you've got to do it on both sides. So we have a negative 4y on the left and a negative 1y on the left. That gives us a total of negative 5y. We've got your plus 15 still hanging out, and then the 25 on the other side. Next step of the recipe says isolate the variable. Good old two-step equation. Good to be back in 8th grade again. Well, maybe not, but it's an easy problem to work. We're simply going to subtract 15 on both sides first, and that'll leave me with a negative 5y equal to 10. Slide that up just to give us a bit more space. Negative 5y equals 10. We're going to finish that out by dividing by negative 5. And that'll leave us with y equals 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2. We have a variable equal to a number. We're done. Awesome. Hope you did well on that one. Let's take another look at another problem that you might see. Let's take a look at it. I'm going to reposition everything here so that we can see our recipe card there. Now, carry on, hit that pause button, and see how you can handle this problem. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. Hopefully when you looked at this one and you read step 1 of the recipe card, simplify the left side completely. We've got some work to do. We've got a distributive process that needs to go with that 4. So 4 times the negative 2m is going to be negative 8m. And then 4 times positive 4 is going to be positive 16. That's going to be equal to negative 8. There's nothing to simplify on the right side, so step 2 is not necessary here. There are no variables on the right-hand side, so step 3 is not necessary. So all we've got is to isolate the variable. Real quick to finish this off, we're going to do minus 16 on both sides. That's going to give us a nice cancellation right there and leave us with negative 8m over here on the left. But what's going to be on the right? We've got a negative 8 sitting there. Now we've put in a negative 16 to go with it. Negative 8, negative 16 combined, that's going to be negative 24. We now have one additional step that we need to do, and that is to divide both sides by negative 8. And that will leave us with m equal to negative 24 divided by negative 8. Negative divided by negative is always a positive. 24 divided by 8 is going to be 3. So our variable equals a number, is m equals 3. So we are finished with that problem. One more. Let's work through one more together, and then we'll take a evaluation as to where we are at that point. Here's the next problem. I put everything into this, well, almost everything I could think of into this particular problem. So take a look at this. Again, don't be intimidated by what it looks like. Take your steps, follow your recipe card, hit that pause button, and see how you do. Welcome back. Let's work through this together. Step 1 of our recipe card says simplify the left-hand side. So I am simply going to ignore this over here for right now. Right? Not going to pay attention to that at all. I'm only going to look at the left side. Now when I look over there, I've got a distributive property that I see jumping out at me. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to distribute here, and we're going to distribute here. Okay? So 3 times n is going to be 3n. 3 times negative 6, negative 18. Okay? Then we're going to have our plus 2n. And I've still got to simplify. I've still got some things I can do because I've got a common term here. 3n and a positive 2n. The 18's all by its little lonesome, not going to change at all. So we're simply going to say 3n plus 2n is 5n. And then we'll have minus 18 all by itself. What's that going to be equal to? Well, now let's do step 2 of our recipe card, which says let's simplify the right-hand side. Now over here, I've got some distributing to do as well. I've got a 4 hanging out here times the 2, and the 4 times this n that's got to happen. So the 4 times the 2, 8, and 4 times n plus 4n, and then we've got minus 16 hanging out there. All right. Probably should have pushed that up a little bit. That doesn't need to be written right there because I need to make sure I have room to write the combination of like terms. Now we do have some like terms here. I've got a number 8 and a number negative 16, and then I've got a 4n hanging out all by itself. I don't think we've seen a problem like this where we had two constants that needed to be combined and the variable just got to hang out and be cool for a while. Okay, so 8 and then the negative 16, positive 8 and negative 16, that's going to be a negative 8. And then the 4n is just biding its time. Now, we've done step 1 and step 2 of our recipe card. Step 3 says, do we have a variable on the right-hand side? Yes, we do. We've got 4n sitting over there. So we need to subtract 4n from that side. Need to get rid of that. So that's how we do it with subtraction. And if we do it on the right-hand side, oh yeah, we got to do it on the left-hand side as well. And that's going to give us, on the left-hand side, negative 4n and a positive 5n. That's going to be a total of 1n. Again, if you need the 1, put it on there. Don't be worried about doing that. What else is going to be on the left-hand side? We've got that minus 18 hanging out. So it's going to sit there. That's going to be equal to just our negative 8. Now watch what happens here. We are now ready to isolate the variable. That's the next step in our recipe. All we have to do is take one step. Plus 18. Plus 18. That will take us to our final answer. That cancels out the minus 18 piece right there. Now all I have to do is figure out what negative 8 and positive 18 is. That's 10. So my final answer is going to be the variable n equal to the number 10. That's our answer. N is equal to 10. Okay? I hope you did well on those. That will be our final problem. If you have been struggling with these problems, all right, there might be some reasons for that. So let's kind of talk a little bit about what those reasons might be. It might be that you're not following the steps completely. All right, get on that card and pay attention to it, take it in order, and do everything that's there. And remember, if you don't have to do one of them, that's okay, but don't intentionally just skip it and just assume that you don't need to do it. Okay? If you need some extra help with that, go back and rewatch video number 1. We'll go over, you'll get a chance to see those steps again. And remember, when you watch that video again, don't just play it and have other things going on. Focus on it with your eyes, focus on it with your mind. Listen to it with your ears, but listen to it with your mind also. Okay? Now, another reason you might be making some mistakes is doing some calculation errors. If you're adding and subtracting integers incorrectly, getting the wrong sign, multiplying, dividing incorrectly, getting the wrong sign there, then you need some calculation practice. I've got some optional worksheets in this module where you can go and practice that. You can also get a lot of extra help on the internet. Just Google, practice problems with integers, and you'll find all kinds of stuff that you're allowed to do. Okay? The other thing that might happen is that you're not distributing correctly. You want to make sure that you're using the distributive property properly. I have to say that carefully because it's two words that sound very similar to each other. I've got another little optional worksheet for you to practice on the distributive property in this module if you need it. All right. Again, those are options to help you practice if you're not doing as well as you need to, or if you just think, hey, I need to get better. Which, if you're there, hey, kudos to you for saying I need the practice, because that's how you learn math. We mentioned this in Module 1. You learn math by practicing it, just like you learn to play an instrument by practicing. You learn to play sports by practicing. You learn to be an artist by practicing your art. You have to draw and draw and draw and rip off the paper, throw it away, draw some more. You don't get to just watch a video on something and now you can do it. Okay? If you want to go through these problems again in this video, that's certainly something you can do to get some extra practice. All right? Once you feel comfortable, it'll be time to move on to the assessment. The problems that are in the assessment will not be any more than what you have seen in the videos to this point. Either the first one where we taught the skill or this one where we practiced the skill. I don't give you problems and teach you problems on one level and then ask you all these really difficult problems on the assessment. That's not fair, okay? I will teach you to the level that you need to be able to perform, okay? So if you're ready, go take that quiz, and good luck, and we'll see you in the next module.